This is something which everyone is really interested in nowadays. We all try to get like as much of it as possible to understand how it's going to affect on our daily life or how we can use it in the future. I hope that you could get some valuable insights about AI and how it can change our lives as a designers.
Hi everyone, welcome. I am Muhammad Ali Tariq, Community Advocate, Friends of Figma Lahore. Co-host Afan with me. Our speaker for today is Tatev. She will talk to us later. So, about Friends of Figma Lahore chapter is a community for the creative designers, UI or UX designer. You know very well about the Figma. Uh, we have little history. At the starting of 2020, we organized our first meetup with the topic of a practical approach to improve your design process. And the speaker was Ahmed Abdul, that was product designer at Keep Trucking. And our second meetup was Learn Design from Unconventional Path, and the speaker was Grace Link, UX designer at Electronic Art. And then our third meetup was Why UX is Important for Businesses by Mudassir Azimi, UI UX instructor at University of California, Berkeley. And today we are going to organize our fourth and the last meetup of this year with Tativ, and we both are the organizer of Friends of Figma Lahore chapter, me with Mohammad Zubair Khan, and today we are going to how artificial intelligence affect UX design and vice versa. So, in before starting, I just tell my audience keep comments where are you joining us from. So, I warm welcome Tatif.
Hello. Thank you, Mohammed, for inviting me to this exciting event. This was a big honor for me to come and speak up today. So, today we're going to speak about how artificial intelligence is affecting the UX design and vice versa. So, I will just start talking a bit about myself. I'm an experienced designer. I'm skilled at user flow, artificial intelligence, and interaction design. Currently, I'm working as a UX designer at RBC Bank. And why did I came up with this idea? Because this is something which everyone is interested in these days. So, this is the agenda, like how deep I'm gonna dive regarding to this topic. So, I'm gonna talk about what is artificial intelligence itself, and then explain you like which part of UX is related to this. And then after talking about the relationship of these two aspects, I'm gonna talk about the role of the UX design in artificial intelligence and vice versa. So let's start. Now, one of the questions which I have been recently seeing everywhere in the channels and in the groups was how is artificial intelligence related to UX design? And should we worry as a designers that artificial intelligence is going to replace us in the future? And then the other question which comes up is like, should we learn it in order to get used to it or in order to understand how it's working? And start using it in our everyday design process. So, first of all, these two aspects, UX design and artificial intelligence, they are very similar because they both try to understand the behavior of the user and then based on the data gathered from the users, these two as these two UX and UI, they two together try to provide better experience based on the insights gathered from the user's behavior. So yes, designers can use artificial intelligence tools And this is gonna help us to create a winning product because it's gonna save a lot of time and it's gonna give us a speed and optimization. So when talking about is it gonna replace us as a designers in the short run? No, because it is not only covering because UX design is not only covering like the data but also a lot of human behavior which cannot be replaced with technologies. So what is artificial intelligence? First of all, this is just a branch of the computer science and it consists and runs only on algorithms. Our brain is working also on the way like artificial intelligence is working, but the biggest difference is that it cannot make decisions on the way humans are doing. So there are two types of artificial intelligence, narrow and general. Narrow artificial intelligence, this is something that we see everywhere in our everyday life. For example, when we are going to radiologist and you see that he is doing like X-ray, and then he can see from the results like the spots of the potential tumors. This is something which artificial intelligence is doing with us. So we see a lot, we use a lot artificial intelligence assistants, starting from Face ID with our iPhones, and then using a Siri, and etc. etc. So this is something we already use. And then when talking about general artificial intelligence, this is the type of the intelligence which is trying to replace humans. So this is still in the in adaptation. So we don't have it yet. This is something we have seen in the movies, like when we have been watching the Skynet, and we don't know how soon it is gonna become a reality. But this is something that we are working on. So now, what is a UX design? When talking about UX design, this is one of the examples I try to explain people on the simplest way. You can think of the design, this is like as a tour guide that you are holding the hand of the user and then you are making their journey easier because you are pointing things out to them along the way. So this is the way the user is enjoying the product, whatever they are using, and how we are gonna be sure that this journey which user has is smooth and enjoyable and easy. Well, first of all, we are making decisions based on the data which we have gathered as a designer, and we are gathering this from the research and from the analysis. And what we are using a qualitative and quantitative research methods to learn about behavior of the user, starting from their feelings and then the way they interact with the product. Okay, so why I have mentioned only the research part of UX design and then quantitative and qualitative research because this is something which is really closely um, parallel, like which has something similar with artificial intelligence. For example, when we are conducting A&B testings or if we are doing, for example, eye tracking, this is something which artificial intelligence can help us to improve and fasten. This is something we have already started to use because it's gonna be very powerful asset to us when we are doing the testings or when we are gathering a lot of data. And I'd like to deep like into this data and research part. For example, when we are at the decision making process as a UX designer, we always have like a large amount of the data which we have to process. Okay, artificial intelligence is something which is going to, for example, form our testings. It is very crucial when we are, for example, gathering information from the people's location or from the about their flows. One of the very good example which I would like to bring is Uber. We all have great experience with Uber. we never think how we are gonna use it. We are never worried about it, and the reason of that is that Uber is collecting a lot of information and data about our trip, and this is artificial intelligence, which is to helping us to find the quickest trip to go from A location to B location. So this is this is the way artificial intelligence is using our location to improve transportation. This is just one simple example. So it is also helping us to understand the user's behavior and then deliver a better experience. One of the tech companies, Imagination, reports that almost 80% of people will leave websites that aren't optimized. And they have cited the UX design as the highest valuable metrics because UX design is one of the ways to understand your user and try to meet their needs. Now, how we are going to find a relationship between artificial intelligence and UX design? Here are just the quick ways that we have an impact on design industry. For example, more personalized experience. So, what do we mean when we are talking about personalized experience? For example, have you noticed that when you are entering to Netflix, you always have the suggested list of the movies? So, have you noticed when you are using Amazon or when you are using other online shopping pages, websites, you always have the suggestion based on your preferences or based on the recent research which you have done on that website. This is how artificial intelligence works. It is gathering your information, and there is no need to ask you one more time what you are looking at our website because they already know this information. They are improving your experience by bringing you personalized research and personalized suggestions. Another example is advanced level of interfaces. This is something which is still in the improvement process. So do we mean when we are talking advanced level of interfaces? This is something, for example, I'm going to bring an examples in order to make it clear for you about what I'm talking about. Okay. So for example, have you noticed that there are some websites that when you are entering to that page, there is no information and then one question comes up. There is no interface, like there is no other feature which is gonna distract you. So for example, if the main functionality of that website was to bring you to only like to buy only one product, this is something which is gonna make you to stay in that website. And then when we are talking about invisible interfaces, this is the future of the UX design because I have been reading a lot of articles about invisible interfaces. A lot of designers are assuming that this is going to be the future of UX design when we are going to have no interface. We do already have invisible interfaces. For example, are you using Siri? Yes, you are. Is there any interface? No, because we are using a voice messages to contact and to navigate through the page. Okay, so now how UX designers are going to help or improve the artificial intelligence? Well, this is a good question. When we have been talking about the Siri, this was like a AI assistant which has no interface and which is helping people to complete their tasks. But still, are people using a Siri on the way it has been supposed to be? Have you ever used Siri to turn on the alarm clock when you have an important meeting? Or have you ever trusted any other digital assistant, for example, Alexa, to to wake you up in the morning? So and then at the end, like, why do people still search for the information on Google? Why do people use their iPhones to go to the Safari and search some links instead of asking Siri to do this for them. Maybe one of the largest reasons is that they don't have a trust. So this is something which we as a UX designers need to improve and work on. This is the largest aspect of UX which we are gonna work on. So why people don't trust artificial intelligence? This is a good question, right? For example, what will happen if your Wi-Fi is off and Siri forgets to wake up you in the morning for your meeting? And then, of course, you're gonna worry about your privacy as well because not everyone wants to make their online payments with artificial intelligence. But of course, this is not something for 100% for all AI assistants because if we are using AI to replace humans in other aspects, for example, in the medicine or in the surveys, people sometimes do trust them more because they are not shy, for example, to fill the application or to talk with the computer about like their bad habits. So this is something different. But when it comes to completing tasks or when it comes to trusting to them, this is the issue which we have. So if they don't trust artificial intelligence, of course, they're not gonna adopt them. And if there is no adoption, we're gonna to lose the chance to establish the artificial intelligence systems that augment but doesn't replace the human capacity. How are we as a designers gonna trust this? Well, this is complicated, but the process is not too much different compared to the process for other kind of projects. First of all, we need to do some research to understand how people make decisions when they're starting to use an artificial intelligence. And then we should start to think about it as a humans, like how would human interact on this way? If Siri was not an artificial intelligence assistant, if it was a human at the back of your application, sitting there and answering to your questions, would it just bring the links based on your search, or it would ask you more specialized questions before bringing the links from the Google? Or if AI was a human, would it just like, for example, fall asleep and doesn't wake you up in the morning? This is something like this is the way we are gonna think about the trust. Maybe if Siri starts to ask you like more questions before answering to your exact question, is something which is gonna bring a trust. For example, you're gonna say hi, Siri is gonna say hi. You're gonna say, can you please like uh, bring me some information about Jamaica? Then it's gonna ask you, which kind of information do you need? You're gonna tell her, for example, I need like detailed information about the location or about the cafes in there, and then it's gonna bring you like more customized research results. This is one of the ways we're gonna like think about it, how it works, and why do people have these difficulties trusting to artificial intelligence. Okay, so we as a UX designer, we can utilize our product and design, and then it's gonna help us to build a trust step by step. First aspect of helping artificial intelligence to be trustful is the freedom of users. It should always and always ask to the users, are they okay to interact with AI before turning it on? So people have this feeling of the freedom. This is the same what we are doing for other user applications. Second one is access to the sources, okay? User always wants to know where is the information exactly coming from. If Siri is gonna bring only the links, this is not something which people are gonna be happy about. If Siri says, these are the links which I'm bringing, these are the links based on the Google research or based on the database that I do have, it's gonna be like completely different picture. So always and always show the access to the source. So user will have like more imagination how is it working, which gonna help them to have like more confidence using it. And then testing artificial intelligence. We should do the same testings on the different way that we are doing for mobile and web applications. For example, we can, for example, do this like a wizard. Someone can like we can divide the users and then designers into two groups, and then they can sit on the different into different rooms, and then we can start testing AI as we would do for case of real products. It's gonna help us to find the bugs and find the places where people do have difficulties of using artificial intelligence. In-person testing is gonna improve it a lot because if we do this on the more quantitative way, it's not gonna bring us the clear picture or the reason why the people still have difficulties or why they don't act on the way they're supposed to. And then, yes, act like a human. As I told on the previous slide, the artificial intelligence products, they need to act like a human. Because if they're trying to replace some of the tasks of the human, they should act like a human. Their behavior and even the way of answering to the questions should be completely different than computers are doing for us. Okay, this needs to be personalized. This needs to be more natural. And then, of course, asking for the feedback. Why is it important for asking for the feedback? Because we never know what the user thinks about the product they are using. So asking for feedback is something which which people feel confident about. They know that they are free to talk about their feelings after using the product. Okay, so let's go to the final thoughts. Well, how is it gonna like change? What is the future of artificial intelligence in design? There are a lot of surveys and there are a lot of testings which now are being done. For example, I have been recently reading about the research which has been done in China. They have been trying to understand if people would be confident to pay, for example, to make their banking payments with their feelings, like from just only smiling. For example, if you are using a face recognition system to make your payment, maybe when you smile, your payment is gonna be completed. So this is the way artificial intelligence can be used in the future to have less interaction, less touch, like less human and computer interaction in person, but more on the feelings and on the emotions. Because we are already in the stage that we have started to use our face and our feelings to complete some tasks, even when we are logging in, just showing our face is the first step of starting to use people's emotions. And another way artificial intelligence is gonna help us as a designer it, is that it's gonna automate our work. For example, when we are resizing, where we are making color correction, or when we are cropping the pictures, it is not gonna require us to do it manually any longer in the future, and this is gonna save a lot of time. But another question which comes up after this is, okay, if it's gonna save a lot of time, if it is gonna help us to automate our work, is it something which is gonna help us to earn more? Because if we have these automation tools, we are gonna complete a lot of tasks like quicker and faster. Well, I don't think so, because something which is gonna be because this is something which is gonna replace us, but it is not gonna change our way of working. Okay, for example, if you are working 8 hours on the research or on the user testings, during these 8 hours you have more outcome and less input, But this is not because of our skills, but because of the automated AI tools. This is not going to change our way of getting paid or getting recognized as a valuable designers, but this is something which is going to help us to optimize on the way that we are working on any of the projects. Okay. When talking about the future of the artificial intelligence and UX design, there are so many aspects which haven't been covered yet, but which might be change our future life. For example, have you seen that there are a lot of websites where you can generate the illustrations, when you can generate the logos? So you see, it is already start. It has already arrived. Like it is already starting to change the way people think, the way designers work, and one thing which we should not ever worry is about replacing us completely, because when it comes about the feelings, these algorithms is making the decisions based on only on the data gathered. Like they cannot behave on the way like humans are behaving, and this is something which is putting the limitation between artificial intelligence and UX design. Well, I think this is the end of the presentation. Like I would like to receive your opinions about how artificial intelligence can improve our UX process, and then I would like to hear about your thoughts. What I want to like have more interactive meeting at the end of the presentation to know your opinion. Like, do you think it is gonna affect on the negative way, or do you think it is gonna help us to become more valuable designers in the future? Thank you. So, Mohammed, do you have any questions regarding to the ways it's gonna affect our lives?
I have a question. What the effects of UX strategies as an AI in UI on a UI designers?
Yes, you want to see the effect, like you want to hear how it's gonna affect on the UI designers.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good question because I have covered only UX part, but AI is going to affect UI as well. For example, when we are talking interactions, this is something which AI can improve. They are already developed the eye tracking tools, which are giving visual data how people are interacting and how they are looking at the data on the websites, and the flow which is given from the AI is going to help UI designers to improve their interaction process, because the way we design it and the way people interact is completely different. And this picture, this visualization is something which is going to have to improve the interaction design, and it has already affected to the graphic and visual design as well, because I just brought the example of the logos or the animations. Now we can see the websites which are helping us to generate a logo based on our preferences, and then we can easily download the illustrations. So the job of the illustrators or the job of the visual designers is also getting automated, and a lot of them might be worried because in the long run maybe there is not going to be the need to use the Photoshop to create customized logos, because it can be done in behalf of them. Think or the ORTL visual of Skynet. How do you think of- Well, why do I think? Because when I have brought the example of Skynet is like this is something out of the movie, which is like not developed yet. So this is the general part of AI, because nowadays the scientists are trying to understand the human behavior, and they're trying to implement it into the AI. So this is the part of the AI which needs, I think that why do I think that it would be toward the starting? Because they are working on it, and then the main purpose of AI is something like to become more like close to human brains. Like it is an algorithm, it is working based on the data, but when it starts to work like humans, it is going to replace a lot of workplaces. But on the other hand, it is going to open a new opportunities for us as well, because it's not only replacing, but it is opening new era of um, of usabilities or of the websites. Is there another question?
I think we have no question right now.
Okay, that was the
Afan,
only one which we had.
yes. Afan, if you have any question, may you ask please. Afan,
I think there's something wrong with his connection because it is not showing up in online.
yes,
Well, actually, feel free to comment your questions under the video recording. I will be happy to answer to all of your questions in case. Okay, there is one. What kind of AI we can implement to UX design? Well, when implementing AI in UX design, uh, first of all, we can implement it when we are doing usability testings, when we are doing A/B testings, and when we are visualizing data gathered from the research. This is the way we can use the AI in nowadays to the UX design in us. Thank you for the question. It was a good one. Well, AI is bringing the ease to our human life, but it can't depict human emotions. Of course, this is something which AI can never do. It can never depict our emotions because it is acting based on the data it has. So even if it is gonna repeat some part of our emotions, it cannot work like the human brains are working. So this is that is going to be the point where the AI and these limitations meet, because it can do the automated part of our work, but it cannot do the human part. For example, it can help us to see the XR report for the doctors, but it cannot give you the solution to the problem, because this is something which our brain has like higher capacity than AI has. I do agree with you. It is a good question.
okay, thank you so much.
I also think so. So it was very nice. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about AI. This is something which everyone is really interested in nowadays. We all try to get like as much of it as possible to understand how it's going to affect on our daily life or how we can use it in the future. I hope that you could get some valuable insights about AI and how it's going to change our lives as a designers. And thank you so much, Mohammed. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Have a great day.
Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe. Stay blessed.